There's no one-size-fits-all approach to creating a successful fundraising strategy and plan.
People are nervous, right? It's a big deal. We're raising $10 million, even if we're raising $1 or $3 million, depending on the size of the org.
Major gift fundraising is not deadline driven. It really is probably the only type of fundraising, along with planned giving, that is not deadline driven.
AI comes on the scene that's affordable, accessible, that can provide insights and personalization at scale.
That's the first core element of this fundraising engine or funnel, is making sure that the top of your funnel, the beginning of your fundraising process, you are in front of the right people.
What do the people we serve need? And how do we open the door to help them get there?
What happens a lot of times is we get this discomfort or this fear, and our brain tells our body to stop.
We can acquire donors and we can automate everything. And that's where I worry, at least personally, around the perils of AI, that it would remove humans from the interaction.
This is the Intentional Fundraiser Podcast.
Welcome, friends, to another episode of the Intentional Fundraiser Podcast, where we get real about what it takes to raise more money, build stronger relationships, and transform the world, one intentional step at a time. I'm your host, Tammy Zonker, and whether you're tuning in from your morning commute, your office, or on a walk between donor visits, I'm so glad you're here. Let me start with a question. Have you ever felt like you're working harder than ever, reaching out to donors, sending emails, making calls, hosting events, and yet you're not seeing the needle move on those major gifts? Maybe you're wondering, is there a better way? Am I missing something? If that's you, you're not alone. In fact, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into a topic that has transformed my own fundraising practice and the organizations I've worked with over nearly 3 decades, transforming donor relationships with data-driven moves management. Now, before you tune out thinking, Tammy, I'm a people person, not a data scientist. Hang on, because what I'm about to share isn't about spreadsheets for the sake of spreadsheets. It's about using data to build deeper, more meaningful relationships with your donors, and ultimately to raise more money for your mission. Let's set the stage. The world of fundraising is changing fast. Donor expectations are higher than ever. They want to feel seen, known, and valued, not just another name in your database. And as fundraisers, we're being asked to do more with less, to stretch every dollar and every hour. But here's the good news. The organizations that are thriving right now aren't the ones with the biggest budgets or the fanciest galas. They're the ones who are getting intentional. Yes, there's that word again, about how they manage their donor relationships, especially when it comes to major gifts. And at the heart of that intentionality, a data-driven moves management process. Now, if you're new to the term, moves management is simply the system of tracking and guiding each donor's journey, from first gift to major gift to lifelong champion. It's about mapping out the intentional steps or moves that deepen engagement and inspire transformational giving. But, and this is a big but, if you're not using data to inform those moves, you're flying blind. You're relying on gut instinct, memory, or sticky notes on your monitor. And trust me, I've been there. Early in my career, I thought I could keep it all in my head. But as my portfolio grew, so did the complexity. I realized that without a data-driven approach, I was missing opportunities, duplicating efforts, and worst of all, letting some donors slip through the cracks. Let's get honest for a minute. What are the biggest challenges you face when it comes to managing your major gift pipeline? If you're like most fundraisers I talk to, it's probably one or all of these. You're not sure which donors to prioritize, so you end up spreading yourself too thin. You struggle to keep track of every interaction, meeting, and follow-up. Your communications start to feel generic because you don't have the right information at your fingertips. And when it comes time to report to your board or leadership, you're scrambling to pull together data that tells a compelling story. Sound familiar? I've been there, and I know how frustrating it can be. But here's the thing. These aren't just annoyances. They're barriers to building the kind of donor relationships that lead to transformational gifts. Let me share a quick story from my own journey. About 3 years ago, I was working with an organization that had a passionate team and a compelling mission, but their donor data was a mess. They had spreadsheets, handwritten notes, and a donor database that hadn't been updated since dial-up internet was a thing. One day they realized they had completely dropped the ball with one of their most loyal donors. She'd been giving faithfully for years, but no one had reached out to thank her personally or invite her to see her impact firsthand. Why? Because her name was misspelled in the database and their system didn't flag her as a major donor. That was a huge wake-up call. That's when I suggested they make a commitment as a team. No more flying blind. They invested in a CRM, cleaned up their data, and started tracking every move, every call, every meeting, every touch point. Within a year, not only did they see their major gift revenue increase by 40%, but they also built deeper, more authentic relationships with their donors. They felt seen, they felt valued, and they responded with generosity. Now, you might be thinking, Tammy, I don't want to become a robot. I want to connect with my donors as people. And you're absolutely right. Data should never replace the human element. But here's the metaphor I like to use. Think of data as your GPS. It doesn't drive the car for you, but it helps you avoid wrong turns and gets you to your destination faster. When you use data to inform your moves management, you're not losing your personal touch. You're enhancing it. You're able to remember birthdays, reference past conversations, and anticipate your donors' interests and needs. You're not just reacting, you're leading. Let's break it down into practical steps. If you're taking notes, grab your pen or open your Notes app. Here's what I've found works time and again. First, map your donor journey. Start by defining the key stages in your donor life cycle. For major gifts, this usually means identification, qualification, cultivation, solicitation, and stewardship. Each stage should have clear criteria and next steps. Next, segment your donors. Not all donors are the same. Use your data to segment by giving history, engagement level, or even wealth screening. This helps you prioritize your efforts and tailor your approach. Then, track every move. This is where your CRM earns its keep. Log every call, email, meeting, and note. If it's not in the system, it didn't happen. This creates a living history of your relationship with each donor. Next, personalize your engagement. Use the data you've collected to make every interaction count. Reference their interests, acknowledge their milestones, and show them the impact of their giving. Last, review and refine. Set aside time each month to review your data. What's working? Where are donors getting stuck? Adjust your strategies based on what the data tells you. I want to share a real-world example that brings all of this to life. A few years ago, I worked with a nonprofit focused on healthcare for underprivileged children. They were passionate but overwhelmed. Their donor data was scattered, and their moves management was, well, more like moves chaos. We started by cleaning up their data and implementing a donor management platform that integrated with their program data. Suddenly, they could see which donors were most engaged, automate thank you notes, and even provide donors with real-time updates on the children they were supporting. The results? Donor retention jumped by 27% in the first year. Major gift revenue increased by 58%. But even more importantly, donors started reaching out to ask how they could do more. They felt connected, informed, and inspired. I want to pause here and invite you to reflect. Think about your own organization. Where are you on the data-driven moves management journey? Are you just starting out, or are you looking to take your process to the next level? Here's an activity you can try this week. Pick 5 of your top donors. Review their records in your CRM or spreadsheet if that's what you have. Ask yourself, do I know their giving history, their interests, the last time they were personally contacted? If you're missing any of that information, make it your mission to fill in the gaps. And if you're feeling brave, share your experience with me. I'd love to hear what you discover. Let's zoom out for a moment. According to recent studies, donor retention rates in the U.S. are hovering around 45%. That means more than half of donors are not coming back year after year. But organizations that use data-driven strategies, especially for major gifts, are seeing retention rates climb to 60% or even 70%. Why? Because they're not treating donors like ATMs. They're building relationships informed by data and making every interaction intentional. And here's another trend. Artificial intelligence and automation are making it easier than ever to personalize donor engagement at scale. Tools like DonorPerfect, KindSight, GiveButter, Bonterra, and Virtuous are helping nonprofits of all sizes track moves, automate reminders, and generate insights that used to take hours of manual work. If you're not exploring these tools yet, now is the time. Even a modest investment in the right technology can pay huge dividends in donor retention and revenue. Let me offer another metaphor. Think of your donor relationships like a garden. If you plant seeds and walk away, you might get a few flowers. But if you track what you've planted, water regularly, prune when needed, and keep careful notes about what each plant needs, your garden will thrive. Data-driven moves management is your gardening journal. It helps you remember which donors need more sunshine, which ones are ready to bloom, and which ones need a little extra care. Let's get practical. Here are 5 steps you can take right now to build a more data-driven moves management process. Step 1, assess your data. Take stock of your current donor data. Is it accurate, up-to-date, complete? Step 2, choose the right tools. If you're not already using a CRM, start exploring options. DonorPerfect, GiveButter, Bonterra, and Virtuous are all great choices, depending on your needs and budget. Step 3, set clear goals. Define what success looks like. Is it more major gifts, higher retention, more personalized engagement? Step 4, train your team. Make sure everyone understands the importance of tracking moves and using data. This isn't just a development thing. It's an organization-wide commitment. And step 5, celebrate wins. When you see the process working, when a donor responds to a personalized touch or increases their gift, celebrate it. Share the story with your team and your board. All right, let's have a little fun. Let's call this Moves Management Bingo. Grab a piece of paper and make a 3x3 grid. In each box, write down a donor engagement activity, like sent a handwritten note, invited to a behind-the-scenes tour, shared an impact story, logged a call in the CRM, and so on. Challenge yourself to get bingo by the end of the week. And if you do, send me a message. I'll give you a shout out in a future episode. Here's something to share with your team or on LinkedIn. Quote, personalized donor engagement isn't just a nice to have, it's a must have. Organizations that use data to inform their moves, management see up to 60% higher donor retention rates. Be intentional, be data-driven, be unforgettable. End quote. As we come to the end of today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Transforming your major donor relationships with data-driven moves management is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, commitment, and a willingness to learn and adapt. But I promise you, the results are worth it. You'll build deeper relationships, raise more money, and most importantly, create lasting impact for the people and communities you serve. So here's my call to action for you. Take one step this week. Clean up your data, try a new tool, personalize a donor interaction, and then share your experience. Email me, tag me on LinkedIn, or leave a comment on the podcast page. Let's learn from each other and keep growing together. Remember, you don't have to do this alone. We're a community of intentional fundraisers, and together, we can transform the world. Until next time, keep transforming your fundraising so you can transform the world.
The Intentional Fundraiser Podcast is a Fundraising Transformed original. I'm Trent Thompson, the executive producer and CMO and head of community at Fundraising Transformed. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review it and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Visit fundraisingtransformed.com to get resources mentioned during this episode and subscribe to our Scaling Major Gifts newsletter.